What's up, guys? It's Uncle Freedom coming to you on a glorious and well-deserved day off. How's it going? So as always, guys, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, because that is how we defeat the algorithm overlords, which you people are doing, and it is fan-freaking-tastic. If you're looking to support the channel, take a look down below. There's a description down there in the description box that says support the channel. That link will either go to a Google Docs or to my website, depending on when you see this. And all the links for the affiliates of my channel, people like Blue Alpha Gear, as well as Warren Scope Mounts, Griffin Armament, tons of guys down there. If you're going to do it anyway and use those links, it helps the channel, and I appreciate it, guys. It's awesome. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about a video that has literally been 9.5 months in the making, and it came on the heels. It was actually already in process, but it came as a massive request after the release of my Ultimate Duty Glock build. Everybody saw this video and they were like, man, do one of these on a patrol rifle. And I'm like, little do you know, but I've already started on it. Now, why did it take so long to do this? Well, a little bit about kind of what it is that I did. So much like the duty pistol, I started this off with a set of questions. What did I need the rifle to do? I needed the rifle to be reliable, durable, tough, able to support things like IR aiming lasers, a bipod if necessary, suppressor mounting. I also wanted this thing to be stone cold reliable and accurate. In order to accomplish all of those things, I had to be very careful in how I curated the parts that went into this build. Everything down to the detents and springs that went into this rifle were hand selected by me and put into the gun, because it does exactly what I wanted it to do. What I wanted to do with this rifle is I want to own everything at 300 to 400 yards and CQB distance. I want a gun that I can maneuver in CQB. I want to eliminate as much recoil as I possibly can for faster follow-up shots. I needed it to be stone cold reliable no matter the operating temperatures or conditions. I needed it to not be ammo picky, meaning if I had to shoot Tula ammo because that's what I had for training, that's what I needed to be able to shoot. I also needed it to be reliably accurate, meaning I wanted as close to MOA capability as possible at 100 yards and as good as I could get at 300 yards. That involves a lot of testing. So even after this rifle got built, it went out to the range. It was shot with a suppressor, without a suppressor. It was shot with a rifle a good scope on it. Patterned the group on this guy. I'll go ahead and let you know a little secret. My pattern group for this guy came in at 0.75 inches, 5 shot groups. That was my testing ammo. That was shot with hand loads of 77 grain tipped Match Kings loaded over accurate 25-20. So it was a hand load. I will give it that. It wasn't factory ammo, though I have turned in about MOA capable stuff with factory loads. And I recently got in a bunch of this stuff because you guys have been going ape shit, wanting me to tell you if that AAC stuff's just as accurate as Mark 262. So we're going to find out. So that's what the rifle needed to do. I wanted it to be something I could trust at work, but if the balloon went up tomorrow, it's the piece I'm going to grab because I trust it to just outlast me. And that's what I did. And that's how I went into this build. And I knew going into this build, much like that handgun was in the thousands of dollars, this rifle I knew would be very expensive from the word go, because good parts aren't cheap and cheap parts rarely are good. That doesn't mean you can't find a deal. And there's a couple of pieces in here I'm going to show you that I found a deal, and that's how I ended up with the parts that I ended up with. So that's kind of where I started at. And this is where we ended. Everything on this rifle, with the exception of the missing piece on top, was curated specifically for what I wanted it to do. I knew where I wanted to go the day I left the train station to build this thing. And I talk about this a lot in another video about establishing what's important. You know, building a rifle, start here. Knowing your criteria can help you avoid pitfalls and buying things that don't do what you need them to do, and then you having to rebuy something that actually fits the bill for what you need. Fortunately for me, I've got lots of ARs. I've got lots of time on a bunch of different ARs from different companies and different brands and different parts that I have a really good grasp on what I want to get out of a rifle, that the parts do what I need them to do. So this is the culmination. This is the UFDR-1 or Uncle Freedom Duty Rifle Model 1. No, it's not available from anybody. It's a really cool, almost God's plaid pattern that happened by total accident, because actually the upper receiver was supposed to be green, but it looked so cool when I did it, I just left it alone. This rifle fit all those bills. This rifle is in the thousands of rounds at this point. It is my main squeeze. It is my love affair. It is my shooting rifle. I shoot this on every training day at this point. This rifle's carried at work. Like, this is my baby. Like I said, I spec'd this to exact what I wanted to see. So let's talk about what went into this thing. So we started life with a lower receiver, and this is where you're going to see one of those things right there. That's a blim. So if you get onto Geisley's website, they do blims. They do blim sales a couple times a year. There's nothing wrong with the blims. It's cosmetic. You can actually see the finish mess up on the magwell right there. That was what blimmed out this receiver. So I was able to get a Geisley Super Duty receiver for cheaper than it would have normally cost. Little things like that, as well as staying up on a lot of the affiliates of the channel, Primary Arms, Palmetto State Armory, Euro Optics, Optics Planet. Like, if you stay up on these other sites, as things become available or go on sale, there's no better time to jump on it. Even if you don't know where it's going, but you know you want the rail, grab it. So let's talk about this rifle. Let's go opposite of Grand Thumb and take it from the butt to the tip. So what I decided to do with this guy, because of how I wanted to defeat recoil, I knew I wanted an A5 length system. I decided to go with the BCM Mark II system. So this is a 7-position buffer tube with a rifle length buffer spring and a moderately heavy T1 buffer system. It's specific to the A5 length, which is the same thing. I also went with the BCM SOP Mod 1 stock. It's actually got a compartment here at the back, which has my tax stamp paperwork for the suppressor in it. BCM's castle nut, and then things get a little weird. I've got a triple socket right here. That is a forward controls designed piece. Man, I forgot what that... so this is the EST2. I went with the Battle Arms Development 55 degree or 55 degree ambidextrous safety. As far as the trigger guard, I went with forward controls design. You're going to see a pattern, a lot of forward controls. This is the winter trigger guard. Gives me a little more room for my finger, my trigger finger to get in there. Again, we're clear, YouTube. Don't freak out. So I had the end plate I wanted. I had this that I wanted. I went with the B5 Systems Type 23 grip in OD green, which is my favorite. There's a couple of other little features on here that are forward controls. So my pivot pin and takedown pin are the PF40s from Forward Controls. They're slightly longer than normal. Lets me get a better purchase pushing them in and pulling them out of the rifle. So I went with his takedown and pivot pins. I also went with Forward Controls for my augmented bolt catch, the ABC, but this is a rear biasing, meaning that the large paddle on the top biases more to the rear of the gun for me to get a better grip on it. It also sits kind of proud on this guy, so it's very easy to activate. I also went with Forward Controls EMR, the enhanced mag release. So what this gave me was a beefed up mag retention bar with a 10.9 pound spring and a dimpled mag button. So it is a much more forceful to drop the mag feel from the finger, but it also avoids any incidental dropping of the magazine, which super important to me. As far as the trigger goes in this guy, Geisley SDC Super Dynamic Combat. So that is a 2-stage flat bladed trigger with the lightning bow on it. I absolutely adore this trigger. It's fantastic. And that's another one of those blim cells that I caught. Saved me about $100. Only other things that are a little weird inside of this system, instead of using BCM's rifle link spring, I went with a spring co because I practice what I preach. They're great. I went with the green, which is a rifle link spring, which is what I needed for here. So I have a spring co green spring in here, and I have Forward Controls reinforced buffer retainer pin. So it's beefed up to handle more abuse. So that's actually in here. So that is my lower receiver. Total cost on this lower receiver to build it out the way you see it today is 900 intergalactic credits, social credit scores, right? 900 of those to get my hands on a lower receiver the way I wanted the lower receiver to be. But buckle up, Buttercup. The top end of this guy gets a little rich. So going from there, I knew I wanted some Geisley, and that led me to finding the rail I wanted. So I was perusing Geisley's website, and I spotted this beautiful Mark IV rail, which is notated by the fact that I have M-lock, pick on top, and I have pick rail sections all at the end. This is a 13-inch rail, very, very robust system. Excellent anti-rotation tabs and screws. Very, very well machined, very well coated. It was exactly what I wanted for this build. And that was where this kind of started, is I knew I wanted the rail and I knew I wanted this desert dirt color, but then I started thinking OD green and tan. And then it kind of morphed because I found an upper receiver I liked. But I knew I wanted this rail. So getting my hands on this rail meant I had their barrel nut, which you have to buy their barrel nut wrench. Well, now I've got the lower spec'd out. Oh, and all the detents and springs in here are through forward controls as well. So that's all my detents, everything. I also almost forgot about this guy. So in the bottom of this guy, I actually run a grip plug from B5 Systems, and it stores 2 CR123s inside of my pistol grip. So I've always got some spare batteries. It'll also hold a Multitasker Nano or 2032 batteries. So looking at this, I knew I had the rail, and this rail was a little different. So this rail has the hardened QDs up here by the receiver, and that's known as the government rail. It's pressed in, it's pressed in steel QD cups versus just the aluminum. It's a little unique. It was kind of rare to this rail and this length. So now that I had the rail I wanted, I kind of needed to figure out the rest of my stuff. So for the barrel itself, I went with a Roscoe barrel. Roscoe made some barrels for Expo Arms. This is a 16-inch medium contour barrel, so it's thicker than your standard barrel profile. It's a taper mount. It's about this thickness, even at its thinnest points all the way back. So having that rail, I went with mid-length gas system because I like mid-length and I prefer it. Gas block is a Sons of Liberty Gunworks. That is, this barrel has... This barrel has like the detents in it so that I was able to screw this in and get it set really well. I went with an Expo Arms mid-length gas tube. No issues on that guy. Set this guy up. I knew kind of where I was going now. Now we're playing with sports. Well, what did I want to do for the internals? So internal, I went with a Geisley supercharging handle. Also, this guy looks like Dobby from Lord of the Rings. So I went with a Geisley supercharging handle in OD green because it's sexy. And then I went with a Radian Weapon Systems enhanced bolt carrier group. I really like this bolt carrier group. This bolt carrier group actually has sand cutter grooves on the rail system itself, so it funnels debris out of the way. It doesn't clog up the bolt carrier group itself. Really cool. Let's see. Went with that. And then I kind of went a little bougie. So I caught a drop, and this is one of those Hype Beast products. This is a rail scales anchor. This guy's got some really cool texturing on the top of it. This is a very hard to get item. If you catch them on the drop, you can get your hands on them. They are prohibitively expensive, crossing easily into the $130 to $150 range. It's an aluminum hand foregrip. But I wanted it, and it's my rifle, so I can do what I want. You don't have to carry my stuff. I don't have to carry yours, and this was kind of what I wanted for mine. So I went with this guy on here. Really liked it. And then you'll see this gold piece back here. This is an Annex Arca Swiss plate. So for those of you that don't know what Arca Swiss is, we use it a lot on tripods. Specifically what this is for me is this mounts on a tripod head and suspends my rifle. So I have a tripod that goes with this guy. Muzzle device on this guy is a Griffin Armament 3-prong flash hider. And since YouTube's weird and we have a Griffin Armament HRT 556, which is a dual lock system, which has a taper thread and a secondary lock. So this is on the gun, right? So this is how this guy's set up. Now this is where it gets a little weird. I went with Mod Light because I like Mod Light. So this is a Mod Light 18650 OKW. So we're looking at 680 lumens, 69,000 candela. I went with Mod Light's mod button and their clamp system. And then this is cool. This is the Unity gas cap. So the Unity gas cap is a USB-C, and it's designed so that we don't lose current between our button and the actual light itself. It plagued things like the Surefire, the Crane plug. We always had the issue. It's a 1,000 lumen light that produces 700 lumens because I'm losing voltage in the wiring system itself. No more with the gas cap. USB-C is far more efficient. The USB-C also flush mounts down. It has this lock ring on it. It takes a substantial amount of force to rip this out. This runs back into a forward controls cable management panel that mounts on the M-lock at 2 o'clock. So it's going to mount in there, and it keeps my wiring and my cables very trimmed down into this guy that goes to this mod button, which gives me light on demand for days. As far as the actual optic for this gun, I went with the Vortex UH1 Gen 2 Huey on a Unity lower third riser. I went with the FDE for that guy, just kind of keep the vibes rolling the way I wanted to. I adore this optic. This optic is a holographic sight. Very EOTech-esque. I like this thing. Battery life is not amazing, right? It's a laser optic. I go over this and why red dots are more go to hell than lasers. But I like this optic, and it's my gun, so I can do what I want. The only part of this guy, oh, and then, yeah, sling. So BCM QDs, and then a sling from my buddy over at Focus. Free State Outfitters. He's a local Nebraska guy out by the Omaha area. He made me this sling special in the configuration I wanted. Ranger Green and Coyote Tan, because it's super sexy. That's why. And it's my gun. And it fits the vibe I've got going on here. Everything I did with a purpose, which led to the last piece of the puzzle for me. So the last piece of the puzzle for this rifle is going to be a flip to center 3-power magnifier. I will do that. I'm going to use Vortex's 3-power on a Unity flip to center. Haven't done that yet. I already know what I'm getting. I just haven't done it, and I didn't want to make you guys wait any longer. And then I'm going to put either a MAL, a PEC 15, an LA5, or the EOTech on-gun laser. Now, this is where it gets weird. Because I'm law enforcement, I can buy restricted laser, or I can buy unrestricted lasers. That means I can buy full power PEC units and stuff like that, because technically this is a duty rifle for me. So I can buy those things and mount them up. I think it's dumb. I think you should be able to own them, but talk to the FDA, because that's who regulates freaking lasers, bro. Also, something to keep in mind if you get your hands on a full power PEC, if you hit a dude in the eyes with it because you're being cute, you permanently damage his vision. That's the reason they restricted those things, because people are dumb. So that's what'll be going here. One of those three, the four, I have not decided which one I want to do. And again, I didn't want to make you guys wait any longer for the video. I had a PEC on here up until recently, but I took it off because the EOTech on-gun laser should be here this week, and I want to go ahead and mount it up and have some fun. So you guys asked for it. My ultimate duty rifle build. BCM B5 forward controls, Geisley, Roscoe, Mod Light, Vortex, American-made glass, UH1 Huey, rail scales. Everything I put on here is expensive, and I'm aware. Even dedicated suppressor, the whole 9 yards. So what are we talking about galactic credit-wise to get your hand on a rifle built that way? So we're looking about 900 intergalactic credits to build that lower, and we're looking about 3,349 galactic credits to build the upper, including the can at least. Once we put on the laser, it's an additional somewhere between $1,800 to $2,500. So it's not cheap. I also have a worn QD bipod that I can use on this gun, but it doesn't travel with the gun. So theoretically, once we put the laser on, this number is probably going to be a lot closer to $5,500 for the upper, or 5,500 galactic credits for the upper. But as of right now, it's 3,349 galactic credits for the upper, bringing our total cost to build this guy as you see it today, 4,250 galactic credits. That doesn't include your ammo for training to get used to your stuff and get it all broken in. It doesn't include any gunsmithing time or your time to build it. 4,250 is just the parts you see in front of you. So if you ask me tomorrow what my favorite duty rifle build is, and this is my go to hell, this is my baby. Once I put the magnifier on, which should be in the next week or so, you guys will see pictures of that. I'm going to try that EOTech out, and if I fall in love with it, that's going to be its forever home is on this one, and I won't put it on a different gun. But one way or the other, you guys will see the final morphed version of this rifle probably in the next 3 weeks to a month once I make my decisions. I enjoy doing this stuff for you guys. I was so excited to bring you an ultimate duty rifle build, and I hope you enjoyed, or maybe you at least learned some more about how specific you can be speccing out your system to fit you. Because after all, I don't have to shoot yours and you don't have to shoot mine. The most important thing you can do is spec your build out to meet all the criteria you have. Because you may not need a rifle like I need one, and I may not need what you need. For me, eliminating as much recoil as possible, making it hearing safe at the ear for the shooter, eliminating some concussion and CQB, and keeping me on target to make fast follow-up shots is the driving force behind this rifle. I just made sure I built a really cool one when I did it. So guys, don't be afraid to go after what you want. Watch for sales and deals. Get the best thing you can afford. Build your way to it. It doesn't matter if it takes 2 years to build it. Build what you want, because you're only going to end up selling parts of it off to buy the parts you should have bought the first time, costing yourself more money in the long run. So guys, I am Uncle Freedom. I hope you enjoyed this and found it informative. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other. And until next time, I'll see you later.